this a difficult question? What awaits those? Anybody? After you live a life, when you start living a life like this, what happens to you?
Becomes part of your normal routine, part of who you are.
Blessings. Now the word blessings means, what does blessings mean? It's a nice spiritual word.
Good things.
What is it? Like what? What's that mean?
You receive.
They're not expected necessarily. They're not.
And
Something that
I
kind of
guess
falls
blessings
into your
glorify God in your life, right?
there's an inner happiness and contentment that happens to someone that lives, and it's not about you. Jesus said this. They quoted Jesus in Acts chapter 20. He says, "It is more blessed to give than what? To receive." He didn't say it's just a good idea to give. He says it's blessed. When blessings means, if you go through the Beatitudes, blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Blessed are those that are pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst. What it means, like in the Amplified, it says, you'll be enviably happy. Inside, you'll have God's joy inside of you if you live like this. How many want God's joy in your life? You live where you're not at the center. And you start living as God's conduit of love. All we are is a conduit. We're just a pipe. How many know this? You're just a pipe. You know, if you go outside and you see right from your roof, there comes what this thing, there's spouting there, and then there's what? A downspout. All we are is a downspout. When God pours His love into us, He wants to pour it not just to us. He hasn't made, God's love for us isn't for us, just for us. God's not called us to be a reservoir.
That's right.
He's called us to be a river.
That's right.
So don't slow down.
So the reservoir, it just fills up, and it's just about me. The river passes it on to other people.
Right.
And when you do that, it says you will...
Yeah, it went on its own.
2 Corinthians 9, 6 and 8 says that God loves a cheerful giver. Because the last thing you want to do is you get out and, I'm just supposed to give. Hallelujah. I get to give. That ain't going to work. No. And because it says right before that God loves, this in this passage here, that God loves a cheerful giver. He says, those who sow sparingly will reap sparingly. The measure that you give out is the measure that's going to come back to you. So if you give greatly, God will pour into you greatly. If you give from a whole heart, God will pour into you with His whole heart. What do you think about that? Blessings will come to those. Givers should expect blessings, but they should also respect rejection. Givers should expect rejection. How many know this? You poured your heart and nobody cared what you did. Nobody saw the things that you did. Nobody noticed the things you did. And not only that, you didn't do them right. You didn't do them exactly right. You didn't do it this way and this way. And then what happens to us? Well, that's the last time I'm going to give there, or this or that, the other. They'll breathe. Nah, come on. Then what do? It's all about me again. Just as you were saying, Robin, give. And this is what it says in Luke 6:33, give expecting nothing in return. Isn't that what God did? God gave. And what did He do? Since See, you know, it says, while we are yet still sinners, Christ died for us, expecting nothing in return. It talks about here in 1 Peter chapter 2 that Jesus was rejected by men. And it says, you know what? What's going to happen to you? When you pour out your life, you're going to get rejected too. That's the way it's going to be. Rejected. In Isaiah chapter 6, Isaiah was down. The king of that country, King Uzziah, had died. And Isaiah, that was one of his friends. Isaiah was the prophet. He went into the temple. He saw the Lord high and lifted up on his throne. And it says the train of his robe filled the temple, and the temple was filled with smoke. And then he saw these seraphs flying, these angels. One of the angels took a tongue and had this burning ember from the throne of God. Because as soon as Isaiah saw the Lord, he says, I'm a man of unclean lips. And I live among a people of unclean lips because I've seen the Lord. How many know when you see God, when your eyes open to about who God is and who you are, all of a sudden you're ruined. He said, I'm ruined. And then it says the angel took that tongue and put it on his lips with that ember. And he says, you're clean. And then the Lord makes this statement. He says, I want someone to be my witness. Who's going to go for me? Who's going to go for me? And Isaiah said, I will. Lord, send me. And then you know what the Lord says? I'm going to send you the people that are going to reject you.
Thanks. Yay.
How many know? All of a sudden, when you get real spiritual and you get with God and things are going right, and you say, Lord, I'm willing to do anything you want me to do. Oh, God, yes. You made such great things out of my life. And he says, okay, I'm going to send you to people who are going to reject you. Get a grip, man. What happened to Jesus when he came to this earth?
Right.
He was rejected by men. He came to his own, and his own received him not. And some of us have lived under a spirit of rejection, and because of that we stay hidden. We're not vulnerable anymore. We don't lay our hearts out there. We cover our tracks. That's not great giving. It's still about you, isn't it? It's still about you. But if we would lay our lives down. Some of you know the story, some of you don't. When I became a pastor about 25 years ago, I was pastor at a church in the other, it was out in the country here. And when I became a pastor, they interviewed me and they said that one of the big things that they really wanted, and it was in their church constitution, that outreach was huge. I said, really? Is that right? Tell me more about that. I think they believed their own press.
Well, it was about sending money overseas. It wasn't about your own backyard.
Well, you know what happened is that people started coming in. People started coming into that church. Cigarette butts were on the sidewalk. People left. One person was really struggling with alcohol. I said, just leave your case of beer at the back door. We'll take care of it. I went back. Someone got it. I don't know who got it. I think someone from the church got it. I don't know where happened. And then there were these people. Then this youth group was coming to these one people that were really struggling. And they went down in their apartment, and they don't know Jesus very well. You know, they're just trying to figure out life, right? You ever been in a small apartment where people smoke, and the smoke is so thick it's blue? It was blue. I happened to be sitting next to them, and the youth group came in, and I heard it later that you can't contain what are you going to do? Contaminate these kids. These kids are going to get. They ain't quite say it that way, but that's sort of. There's one fellow I was reaching out to. He installed carpet in our home. And one day he didn't know Jesus. He never, I don't know, I was just trying to reach out to him and his family. They were going through a hard time. And he had a swatch of carpet, and he says, Ron, I came by to give you this. Like one of those samples that you get, you can find at Stollers or wherever. Since this is one of these little sample rugs. I said, why did you come here, Jim? He says, I want to buy your place 5 times. He says, if I die today, I don't know if I go to heaven. I said, you want to know? He says, yeah, I do. I said, let's go to the church building. I had small kids there, and I just wanted a private place. So him and he opened his heart to Jesus, gave his heart to Jesus. I said, a real big step for you would be coming to this church tomorrow morning. It was on Saturday night. So Jim came with him, his live-in girlfriend, his kids, and her kids. He had his best Harley Davidson t-shirt on.
And she had a miniskirt.
And they walked up front, and they sat in the 3rd row. About 7 of them, 8 of them. Here they are. You know what? That little Mennonite church, they don't know how to act. Even though, you know what? Everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. The only thing that would make me any good is Jesus. Oh my. Well, they came every Sunday. I was seeing Jim different times. Anyway, he came every Sunday. And I was talking to Jim. He said, Jim, might be, I don't know, you guys thinking about marriage? Just thought. Well, I said, I'll counsel you. Yeah, they were planning on getting married. But they kept coming back, every Sunday, they're still living together, doing this and that and the other thing, how are people here? You have a perfect week, no sin this week? Everybody's just perfect, right? Oh my goodness. We got problems, don't we? Church is a hospital for sinners, not a rest home for saints. So here we are. Here's Jim. He's coming. They're going to have Sunday. On Sunday, they're going to have communion. So someone comes to their house, explains communion to them, and says, you don't need to participate. And they came. They took communion. I don't know. People were starting to clear out. Things were happening. Anyway, I was going towards the back of the church. People were leaving. It was, about 15 minutes in. One of the elder statesmen of the congregation, who was a founder of the church, came to me and said, how can they take communion? I said, do you know their hearts? Do you know who these people are? You talk with them. No. I said, what if they, in absolute earnest, as well as they knew how understood life and what sin is, they came to Jesus and they asked Jesus, I lay down my life to you. Would you forgive me? And I said, would God forgive them? He says, yeah. And I said, so what if he would die right then? If he would die, would he go to heaven? He says, yeah, he'd go to heaven. I said, how come God can accept him, but this church can't accept him? How come God can accept him? You say he can go to heaven, but he can't come to this church. And the red just came up this guy.
Thermometer.
It was like a thermometer. The red, and I knew I nailed my coffin. I wasn't going to be around this church that long. I already knew what was going to happen. And eventually, I mean, there was all sorts of havoc that happened because of these kinds of stances that I had. And one of the, there were different elders from the conference that came in. There were 3 different overseers that came in from the conference. Among the 3 of them, they had over 100 years of experience in leading churches, right? And they recommended to the congregation that I would resign, because if I stayed here, I'd get so beat up that I probably would not. I would not stay in the pastorate. I would eventually leave because I'd get so beat up. They advised that I would step down, which I eventually did. And that's one reason why we're here today. Okay?
Worked out pretty good.
So there was some people in the congregation. Says, Ron, I know you probably need someone to talk to, but we're not sure where we're to send you. So we're going to open this door so you can go to this Christian counselor, because you probably need to get some things out. And I said, okay, I'll go to this Christian counselor. It only took me 2 sections. Here I am, I'm doing the woe is me, pity poor pastor routine. They did this, they did this, they did this, they did this. This is what happened to me, this is what happened to me. This shouldn't have happened, that shouldn't happen. And the guy just looked right at me and he says, if you can't take it, get out. This is the way it's going to be. You're going to get rejected. That's what he was telling me. If you can't take it, get out. This is the way it's going to be. So you know what that told me? Being a pastor was somewhat about me. Being a pastor, I had to get over myself. If we plan to live the Christ life, we got to get over ourselves. If you don't like it, get out. How would you like that? How would you like that counselor? Only took me 2 times. That was it. He said that the second time, Didn't say it the first time. If you don't like it, get out. He says, I've been an elder at a church and I've seen all sorts of stuff. This is the way it is. The Christian life will never make sense until you get over yourself. Until it's not about you. Christmas will never be special until you get over yourself. It's not about you. This year will never be a good year unless you get over yourself. May this Christmas can will be the best ever. Last question.